Hello world, Ace and Beaky here. Hey, I'm just gonna make a casual, clean, and safe video just to, maybe I can express just some creative ideas that'll give y'all some entertainment to hold you over. As you know, also, this is kind of a preface to tell you that in the description there's a link to where I'm uploading my more controversial videos, or rather I should say re-uploading them to Dailymotion. I might try to also start to upload them to Vimeo or wherever I can that will allow me to do it, if they don't start deleting them too. But the thing is that, after that I tell you that in the description below that there's a website that you can go to see my videos that are so controversial they were either deleted or that I decided, nope, I'm not even going to risk another strike. I'm just going to, let you know what it's about. Hey, on a more positive note, I saw a meme concerning creativity and art. I saw a meme that I thought was quite relevant. That meme said it would be better to focus on rebooting franchises that were mediocre or bad, but were based on something good, as opposed to trying to just reboot classics. Instead of rewriting classics that are perfect the way they are, minus maybe a little bit of George Lucas, maybe a little bit of touch-up, maybe a little bit of a modernizing facelift. Instead of trying to rewrite classics, maybe we should try to reboot things that actually were bad, but could have been good, were based on something good, should have been good, but due to low funding or bad acting, or probably more than anything, bad directing, it got screwed up. Things that should be good, but weren't good because of execution. We should reboot those. We should try and reboot those, because if the best case scenario, we took something that was average or bad and it got a second chance to be awesome, kind of like the Ugly Duckling, or that kid in high school. It's like, be careful who you call ugly in high school. It's like, oh, this TV franchise or this movie, it had a bad high school year, but now it reinvented itself in college, and now it's something of a knockout. Or something, or revitalize something that is a classic, but instead of trying to just remake the classic into something that everybody's going to hate, do a really good job making a prequel to it. I would call that a revival. Best example that I can think of that kind of like, something that started out bad, but then it got revived or remade and it got like it got a second chance. Daredevil. A lot of people didn't think that the Daredevil with Ben Affleck was great. They didn't think it was that good. But Netflix Daredevil knocks your socks off. A lot of people like Netflix Daredevil. Some of them even said the same thing about The Punisher. I haven't seen it myself. I should probably look into that more. But it's kind of like, I watched the Daredevil movie when I was a teenager, but I knew it wasn't that good. However, Netflix Daredevil achieves. Netflix Daredevil achieves. So the thing is that, okay, and I've heard some similar things about Punisher. I've heard similar things about Netflix Marvel in general. There's also, from what I heard, is that the Lemony Snicket Series of Unfortunate Events movie with Jim Carrey may not have been the best movie. I enjoyed it for what it was as a kid, but I enjoyed it partly out of nostalgia because I read the books. I feel like that they tried to shove too much in one movie at a time. But the thing is that from what I've heard, I need to see it for myself, but from what I've heard is that the Netflix Lemony Snickets is actually better. So you see, we have movies or franchises or TV shows that may have had a bad movie in the 90s or the early aughties, but now Netflix has been a new lifetime for it to reincarnate and get a better second chance. It'll have a chance to redeem itself. So, not only that, Netflix has shown that it can do a good revival with the right people in charge. I was singing the praises of Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and even though I'm a big fan of Star Wars, which also had Jim Henson working on it, I was just a casual fan of the Dark Crystal movie. Like, I knew it was a classic, but as a kid, I was like, okay, Mom and Dad are showing me this. Yeah, I like it enough, but I'm not flipping out over it, but I appreciate it. But then, even as somebody who wasn't that big into Dark Crystal, holy crap, the Netflix Dark Crystal knocked me on my butt, and I said, yes sir, PG-rated movie with Muppets. I take you more seriously than most R-rated movies. You get what I'm saying? So the thing is that Now, I know Netflix is under controversy, but that's more to do with its leadership and certain individual bad actors than it is the idea that I'm talking about. And it doesn't have to be Netflix, but Netflix is the biggest example I could think of to get the point across right now. And that is, Netflix offers a lot of potential for people to actually do a lot of good stuff. And I'm not singing praises of Netflix. If Netflix sucks, then Netflix sucks. But that seems to be more about leadership and business and internal garden variety politics than it does about, individual creators moving to Netflix as a medium, as a platform to do something good. The sad thing is that I think that a lot of TV, there's an injustice with media to where there's a lot of things that are actually really good, but they don't get marketed very well, and they only become popular through word of mouth, and then maybe if they get marketed well, they get marketed after the fact, to the point where it almost is like it's trying to make people hate it. But then things that suck get all the marketing in the world. What the hell? It's kind of like that Proverbs Bible verse about, a beautiful woman who's a bad person on the inside is like a pig with a golden ring in its nose. It's like Hollywood. Why are you so big on shoving mediocre or bad stuff down our throats? But whenever there's something that's really good, the only way we find out is through word of mouth and the internet. I mean, I guess from a pragmatic point of view, if you know that a lot of people like it and that they're going to spread the word on their own, that probably saves you a lot of money on marketing. Still, though, I thought it would make sense for you to market the stuff that everybody likes. And then you invest more money into marketing something that's not that good, but wouldn't that same word of mouth say, it's okay? Who am I? I don't work in Hollywood. I probably don't know how this works, but that's just how I would see it. But the thing is, taking this concept, taking something that was bad, and then remaking it or reviving it so that it has a second chance to be good. Best case scenario, you have something awesome that, puts it on the map. And you get the credit for taking something that was bad or overlooked, and then you get the credit for making it wonderful, for giving it a makeover or a new reincarnation. You give it a second chance. The worst that could happen is that since it was never really good to begin with, not that many people will be super disappointed. They won't be offended. It'd be like, well, he tried to make it good and he failed, so it just seems like that this franchise just has bad luck with the wrong people working on it. But you wouldn't get the massive disappointment or backlash. It'd just be they'd just be sad. And it would give you practice to do better on a future project. That's what I could think would be the two upsides to that. Best case scenario, worst case scenario. What things I think could use the Netflix treatment? I would really like to see something that's bad, but it got good with a second treatment, usually through something like Netflix. I already mentioned Netflix Marvel. And I mentioned how the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance was the revival example of that. A remake that I would love to see the Netflix season get. I would like to see them do a second season of Thundercats 2011. I would like to see them do a good job with Animorphs, because Animorphs was kind of a ho-hum Nickelodeon TV show. It felt like they were trying to make Power Rangers and Gooseflumps, and it was just this really bad Saved by the Bell thing, and it's no, read the books. The books are very dark and scary with morally gray gut-punching moments, and they can get very, very violent and gory. There's some stuff on there that if it was an Adult Swim style anime, it might possibly be rated TVMA, but a lot of it would be a solid TV-14. And I think Animorphs is kind of structured almost like stuff that would be an anime. It's Western, but the small novels are kind of like light novels, and a lot of anime is based off of light novels. It's science fiction-y, it's dark, and it involves high school students, so it's already got some parallels to anime as it is. So as far as I'm concerned, have people try to make an Animorphs anime, and, so that it might feel take notes from something like the people who made Full Metal Alchemist or Ghost in the Shell or something like that. I don't have a proper list. I went and I talked about people's, if Animorphs became an anime, what style do you think it would like? I was hearing a bunch of things that it's whenever it gets violent, it would be like Hellsing Ultimate, but whenever it's just about teenagers acting like teenagers in school, it'd be like the more lighthearted versions of Bleach. And then some people said that maybe the violence level and the action would be more like Full Metal Alchemist slash Brotherhood, but it would have the realism of the Ghost in the Shell anime. But that's just some research that I did on my own, because I read the Animorph books and I thought that they were like, holy shit, this is like kick ass. If this is for kids, this is like 1980s PG that should be R for kids. You know what I'm saying? And Redwall would be kind of guilty of that. Guilty of that good thing, but to a lesser extent. I think Redwall would kind of be like a milder version of 80s PG. If there was like an Adult Swim anime, it wouldn't necessarily be like as bad as Animorphs, but it would still be a little bit more mature than a Saturday morning cartoon, because there would be blood. Some creatures do get their heads cut off, and stuff like that. Redwall wouldn't be as vicious as 1970s Watership Down, but it would be more vicious than anthropomorphic furry fox Robin Hood from the 70s. Both of them from the 70s. Yeah, if we're looking at things from the 70s, if Redwall was paid the proper respect, it would be like somewhere between the Anthro Robin Hood of the 70s and the very, very violent Watership Down of the 70s. Its violence level, maturity level, it would be worse than Disney Pixar's Brave, but not quite as bad as Braveheart. If you get what I'm saying? So that's what I think that Redwall should be like, between Brave and Braveheart, between Anthro Robin Hood and original Watership Down cartoon. That's what I think that they should make the Redwall, series about. And, they don't even have to remake Madamato, Martin the Warrior, and Redwall. They could start doing the other books, the more unique books, although Redwall's kind of formulaic. But it's like, you don't have to make every Redwall book, but like out of the Redwall books, select a handful that are favored by fans and generally regarded as the more unique and individualistic of the book, and then, make a TV series or a mini series based on the book, or whatever you want to do. I would also think that Narnia is something that gets decent treatment at the beginning, but then it kind of peters out near the end. So Narnia is never finished. They never finish Narnia. They start with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe because it makes a damn good Christmas movie. And they start with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and a lot of people, whenever they have Narnia, they don't understand it completely. They understand that it's going to have something in common with Lord of the Rings. And they understand that it's for religious kids. But the thing is that it's not bad that you imitate Lord of the Rings to a degree in the areas that it overlaps, that it has in common, because yes, C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were friends. But I kind of feel that a lot of people, since they didn't know what to do with it at all, they were like, okay, so this is Lord of the Rings light, right? We're just going to make Lord of the Rings light. We're going to make Passion of the Christ light, we're going to make Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire light, and we're going to make 300 light, and we're going to mix it all in a mixture. And I'm not saying that, that they did terrible with all of the recent Narnia movies. I think BBC had the right idea, but it lacked the funding. And I think Disney, Walden, and Fox had the funding and an acceptable style, but they kind of lost the enthusiasm, or they hit some of the right notes, but they couldn't hear the music. So what I propose for Narnia to get the respect it deserves is, ironically, something that's not American or Christian, and that is some of the really good people behind Studio Ghibli, the people who know how to make things dark and whimsical at the same time. Because the Japanese can be really smart about representing a mythology and belief system that's different from their own. They can be neutral about it, they can be objective about it, they can respect it, while at the same time not promoting it. Because a lot of people who like Narnia because they're religious and or conservative, they kind of start preaching with it. And a lot of people who don't like Narnia because they're Hollywood liberals, or they're atheists, or they're whatever, or they're Jewish or whatever, and that doesn't mean that they would hate it, but some of them, it's kind of like, it feels like Hollywood like hated making Narnia. Like, they did a good job with like the first couple of movies, but they hated it. It's almost like you feel a tiny bit of resentment with some of the people who made the movies. Not entirely, not everybody, but you kind of felt that Hollywood is like, okay, we're going to make Lord of the Rings light, we're going to make 300 light, Harry Potter light, and Passion of the Christ light. We're going to mix this into kind of a Heinz 57 to hold over those religious homeschooled kids so that they will shut up and we can make money off of this group of homeschooled kids and Ned Flanders that we hate. Maybe I'm projecting a bit, maybe I'm being a bit negative, maybe I'm assuming the worst, but I do kind of feel that Hollywood kind of has that antagonism towards anything that's religious and right of Joseph Stalin. And I'm not like that anymore, but it's like, okay, guys, you can disagree with them, but you don't have to hate every little thing that they like. You can hate what they think about it. You can hate what they do with it, but you don't need to hate everything that they like. Y'all ain't Muslims, but you sometimes try to show respect for Muslims' beliefs. Well, do the same for this, because not every one of these is a MAGA hat Trump supporter. So chill. But ironically, the person that would give it the most respect would be somebody who's not white or Christian. It would be some of the better Japanese people who were in Studio Ghibli. Because I could see Narnia, with both its violence and its tone, looking like somewhere between Princess Mononoke and one of the lighter Studio Ghibli movies. And Studio Ghibli could make individual movies for each individual book, or they could make a TV series, and every 7 or 8 episodes is a book. Like, each book is a story arc. Because there's also one thing that befalls Narnia, and the sad thing about that is that everybody starts with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then maybe they do a good job with Prince Caspian, and then they just kind of peter out after that. So not only does it never get finished, they just do like 3 or 4 of the movies. Not only does it never get finished, but they never start out with The Magician's Nephew. And I'm thinking Studio Ghibli, because it's not trying to make a Christmas movie, would be like, okay, we're going to make a TV series, and it's going to be one TV series, and each book is like 5 to 7 episodes, so that we can have time to flesh it out, and we're going to start from the beginning and go forward, so that you can make The Magician's Nephew to start with, and then The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then before you jump to Prince Caspian, you can make The Horse and His Boy. Nobody has made The Magician's Nephew, nobody has made The Horse and His Boy, and nobody has made The Last Battle. So, so the thing is that I think that if they could, Netflix and Studio Ghibli could revitalize that, but this is all fanciful, this is all talking. The main thing is, 1, I'm going to be posting my more controversial videos to Daily Motion for as long as I can, and I'll try to give you the link. 2, just my idea on how to revive some things. How to do remakes of things that could have been good but didn't get the respect they deserve, so they were bad or mediocre. Because instead of trying to recycle something that's good, and it often turns bad, let's see if we can take something bad and recycle it into something good. Something that's good, it's already had its moment in the sun. Don't try to pick it up past its expiration date. If you think you can do a good job with that, it'd be better to make a sequel or a prequel. If you can. If you know what you're doing. Otherwise, just lay off and try to give something that deserved better a second chance.